What excites me most? I like that question. I think you got guys around here that are tired of losing around here, and the guys that want to win. I think that's what excites me most. We guys want to win around here. I think the past 2 or 3 years around here, and the past year for me, I can only speak for myself, but I think there's guys around here that are tired of losing and want to win.
Makes sense, right? 4-13 last year, only his rookie year, going into year 2, and he's already tired of losing. And he felt the fans, guys, last year, the boos, the frustrations. And Karen Guregian asking him that question at the end of camp, and he just said, Phil, it feels like we are sick of losing. That's the kind of mentality you want out of your quarterback. But what's your overall vibe, pulse on Drake Maye going into training camp?
Yeah, I thought it was a great day for him today. On the field, I thought he was accurate. I thought he was poised. Now, he's obviously not under the threat of any kind of contact, but there were bodies around him throughout the practice, and I thought he played well. I thought he looked sharp, especially for day one of camp when typically the defense is ahead of the offense. But that comment to me, Tom, I think spoke volumes to where he is now as a leader, where he's comfortable in some ways speaking for his team. Whereas if we talked to this guy at this time last year, he would have just had a little bit more of an air of happy to be here, ready to defer to all the veteran guys that have done a lot more than I have. Why don't you go talk to them about something like that?
Yeah, even his cadence today was different than we saw last year. It was much more paced. He seemed much more in control. Not that he was out of control last year, but he just seems as if he's in a good and confident place. And Beetle, when you look back at last year, Phil reported halfway through camp, the Patriots want him to try and seize this job from Jacoby Brissett. And after that, I think there was a conversation. He did play better to the point where he really pushed Brissett. So the Patriots want him to accept these things. I don't think he's reticent about leading, but I do think that in his way of approaching team sports, there's a pecking order, and now he feels as if he's comfortable at the top of it.
Yeah, they put him in an awkward position a year ago in which Jacoby Brissett was the starter, and he was the promising rookie who was supposed to be here, and they wanted him to be more of a leader and have more of a voice, but they didn't want to throw him the keys, and they didn't want him to do the driving at the end of the day. And so those two things didn't really align with what they wanted him to be and the position that they were putting him in. And this year, it's completely different. There are clear expectations for what they want from this player on and off the field, and those things align. And I think that's why we're seeing that confidence from him, because he's probably a guy who thrives when you're putting it on him, right? When you're saying, this is what we want you to do. We want you to be great. We're going to help you get there. And I just look at him and say, a competitor like this is going to thrive under those conditions. And so now they're setting him up for success a year later.
Beetle, you make a great point about his confidence, because that's the gist that I am getting from this second-year quarterback right now. I mean, we're going to get into, and we've already talked about as well on previous shows, about Hunter Henry, a lot of these guys, Steph Diggs included, spending more time with Drake Maye, and Drake Maye taking the initiative, saying, hey, I want everyone here, as many people as we can in the offseason, and work getting ahead of this season. But, Tom, when you look at his confidence, just overall today, how he's talking at the podium, he was asked earlier today, is this a lot different than going into rookie training camp? And he laughed. He's like, oh, you have no idea. You kind of felt that relief being just left off of his shoulders. And he's even saying, now I'm talking to the rookies on how they need to address training camp. So did you get the same vibe that I'm getting from him, not only on the field but off the field, in terms of his overall leadership?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about when I talk about his cadence, his comfort at the mic, his ability to get his points across in a quick way that doesn't seem as if it's rapid fire. I think he's comfortable. I think he's confident. I think he probably looks at the sidelines and sees Josh McDaniels as opposed to Alex Van Pelt, and that's no slight on him. But Alex Van Pelt was learning everyone's name. So was the wide receivers coach, Tyler Hughes. So was so many people, the offensive line coach. Now there is a group of experienced coaches that Drake Maye can look at and say, well, these guys have a backlog of experience. And I don't think he ever looked at those guys and sold them down the river as being inept. But he must be able to say, well, I can fit neatly into this spot. And his on-field performance today, too, was worth remarking upon, even though it was just a ramp-up practice.
Yeah, there's no question. I think both of the most important coaches on the staff, that'd be Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels, have the ability to make him a more confident quarterback moving forward. Number one, we've seen Mike Vrabel really kind of pushed Drake Maye into these situations where he has to be more vocal, whether it's just the conditioning runs at the end of practice where he has to use his cadence, or whether it's like we saw in the Forged in Foxborough docuseries in between plays. Hey, Drake, you've got a minute to talk to these guys while we all get set up over here. Use that time. Communicate whatever it is you want to communicate with them as though this is a game and we're between series. That kind of thing will help Drake Maye become more comfortable. And then Beetle on the field with Josh McDaniels, I thought, now we'll see how it goes the rest of camp, but he looked smooth. He looked crisp, I dare say, and a new offense. This is a new offense with a new language and a new coordinator, new weapons, and he already looks like he's comfortable there.
Yeah, like Tom said, it's a ramp-up practice, so we can't read too much into it. But there were no hiccups today, right? We didn't see any of those moments where they had to stop and pause and everybody huddle up because we don't know what we're doing and we need to get on the same page and we're all learning. It just felt like they were ahead of where they were on day one a year ago.
Maybe there's a reason why there were no hiccups, because today might have been the official first practice since minicamp, but that doesn't mean it was the first time Drake Maye has seen his receivers since then. As a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, Maye hosted backup QB Josh Dobbs. He had 9 Patriots pass catchers, including Steph Diggs, Pop Douglas, Hunter Henry, and Kyle Williams for 3 days of informal practice in North Carolina.
He did, I would say, 95% of it on his own to be able to plan the travel, the housing, the location, and everything that they were going to do and the places that they were going to do it. So I think that's a large step. Not, he's dealing with other things in the off season in the summer and getting married and everything like that. So it was important to him. That was something that he wanted to do. It was something that he approached me with early on. So it was something that he was thinking about.
First of all, shout out to the sophomore for being able to get married, have that planning, and still get his crew together, because I can only imagine the itinerary for all of that. But, Tom, it was also neat and interesting, and I picked this up in OTAs when Pop Douglas talked about, Drake's not just leading himself, but he's leading not just the offense, but the group, like the overall squad. And when he does things like that, what does that say not only about his maturity, but his intention to really turn this thing around this season?
He's got a comprehensive idea of who he wants to be and how he wants to do it. I mean, we saw Brady do this up in Idaho or Montana, wherever the hell it was out there, that he would get guys together. We see it happen all throughout the NFL. And it's important because these guys, in a couple of years, he's going to be conceivably a $60 million a year quarterback. So if you say, wow, look at him working in early July. Okay, you're making $60 million a year. It's a good thing to do to make sure that you're in a position to have yourself ready to go at the beginning of the year. So to me, I don't think it's unbelievably remarkable, but the one thing about him that we mentioned a ton last year and we can continue to look back at, he's pretty authentic. He does things without, hey, how is everybody going to react to this? Or wears it on his sleeve. I just think that he's a great fit.
Well, in this time of year trust is so important, and building trust is so important. And Drake Maye used that word when he was describing that period of time where we got these workouts together. And I asked him after the practice, a little bit after that answer that he just gave, does he already trust somebody like Stephon Diggs because of everything Diggs has already done? He's got this amazing resume. Once you show up on the field, you kind of have to trust the guy that he's going to be in the right place at the right time, right? And he said, yes, but it's really more, Beetle, for him to establish trust with guys like Diggs, or Hunter Henry in his second year working with him, or these veteran offensive linemen that they brought in. He's trying to earn their trust. He's not expecting it to go the other way around, and I think that speaks to the kind of leader he wants to be.
Yeah, I think that speaks to who he is, and I think that goes back to your point in terms of being authentic and not being any sort of fraud or doing it for the social media element of it like I know plenty of players do. This could be a story in 2025. This is not a story in 2026 and beyond, right? And I think that's kind of what you're hitting on. This is nice, and this is great that this happened this offseason. This should become the norm for star quarterbacks, and it does become the norm for star quarterbacks. So this is fine that it's a mention now, but after this, okay, great. This is what you should be doing. It's what's going to help you be a better quarterback. These guys are going to help you look like a better quarterback to get you that next big contract, and it's only going to help everybody in the end and produce better results on the field once these games get real in September. So it's great. I'm happy that it happened, and if someone pushed him to do it, like a Josh McDaniels, who has had quarterbacks like Tom Brady who've done this, No big deal. It's all good. This is the nice thing about having the young quarterback again, is that we talked about Brady at the end. Is Brady doing this, or is he only doing it with his guys out in Montana? Is it only Edelman and Amendola in Montana? With the young quarterback, everybody show up. Whoever wants to show up can show up. He's the youngest guy in the room when they gather with all these receivers right now. So I think this is going to be a good thing for him for years to come.